So Larry, what are the issues here that you guys are dealing with?
Right now we have about 500 residents that live along this canal. This canal has been slowly filling in with sand over the last decade at least. But during the last 3 or 4 years, we've got some really good movement for Pinellas County. They've created an environmental study through a company that has given us some options on how to keep this canal open. Those options were presented to the county commissioners on July 8th. They're basically 3 options, and those 3 options are going to be looked at based on cost and based on the time of permitting. Right now, we're in an exigent circumstances with this canal. As you can see from the video that we've given you, this canal is rapidly closing. So the problem is that Pinellas County, and we have a portion of this canal, which is in the city of St. Petersburg. In the initial stages, we're only looking at doing a flat, non-ad valorem assessment equally across the board based on linear footage of waterway, which we said was absolutely unfair. And why is that unfair? Because none of these residents or none of these property owners have a problem or objection to paying their fair share. But if you can look behind you, we have 9 commercial businesses with nearly 500 boat slips. We have a marina. We have all of these particular types of business interests. We have fuel docks here, and all of those are generating funds and generating taxes that are being funded back to the Pinellas County, and more particularly back to the city of St. Petersburg. So we have sent letters after letters after letters to Pinellas County and to the city of St. Petersburg. Fortunately, Pinellas County is now looking at alternative ways to help equally distribute the cost of this without putting it all solely on the property owners. But we've not heard one single word from Mayor Rick Kreisman. We're asking him, what are you doing with all that money that's being collected on these taxes? What are you doing? Where is that money being allocated? So every dollar that you've collected is going out to outside sources, and yet you're not reinvesting any of that money to help keep this canal open so that you can keep your funding going in perpetuity. We are objecting to that. We're demanding answers from him, and we've yet to get anything.
And what kind of tax money is the city of St. Pete getting?
So you're getting portions of the fuel tax. You get the residents in that has approximately 100 rooms there that are getting room tax. You have every bit of the sales tax from the employees that are going over there, the beach renourishment tax, the Pinellas tax, all of those taxes that are going in there. You have guide boats, you have ferry boats that are going out of there, you have dolphin tours going out of there. All these commercial slips, the high and dry marina, all of them are paying into the sales tax that the city of St. Petersburg, the city of St. Petersburg was really high and mighty on getting this property annexed. And yet now they have annexed it, and now they're expecting all of these residents back here and all along this canal to pay the whole total cost of this canal to keep it reopened. We say that's not correct. That's absurd. We'll pay our fair share, but we're not going to pay a dime until the city of St. Petersburg contributes their share. They've not put in one single penny, and they've not even had the decency to respond back to us.
When you're showing that time-lapse photography, how many of those boats were the 500 private property owners?
So right now we have 487 slips that are all coming in here. We have a major restaurant. It's one of the most popular destinations in Southern Pinellas County for people to travel up and down this waterway. These government entities want to tell you that this is a private canal. Well, I can tell you right now, I can look at a duck and I can tell you it's a duck. This is not a private canal. This is a commercial waterway. All of these boats, 100% of the boats that come from this point back is commercial interest, because everyone's either renting a boat or they're coming down here to have lunch, they're coming down here to get fuel. So everything coming this way. So the predominant amount, and you'll look at that time-lapse video, 80 to 90, or even on some days on the weekends, 100% of this boat traffic that's going up and down this canal is commercial traffic, or commercial, or vehicles or vessels that are paying into that commercial tax base that the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County are using to fund other sources outside of this particular canal.
And you feel like they're wanting you to open this canal for the public to use, and the property owners here.
So what they're doing is they're saying, you know, John Q. citizen that lives on this canal, give me your $1 for every footage of waterway, and then we're going to take that $1 and we're going to take half of it to pay for the canal, and then we're going to take the other half to put out in outside sources. So if they only took the 50 cents and not the whole dollar, that's a whole lot less money out of their pocket than that whole dollar. So what we're saying is, we'll pay the for 50 cents, but just use the other 50 cents to help lower the cost of the total cost of dredging that canal.
How much is this going to cost the average homeowner out here?
Well, that's what we're waiting to see. They're looking at a lot of different formulas. The county commissioners are going to get that report, and it could be a substantial amount of money.
Tens of thousands
of dollars. When you got a property like this that has, and they're going based on linear footage of frontage, and you only have 11 to 15 units here, that's going to be a whole lot more money than it would be if you've got 100 or 300 or 400, 500 slips with the same amount of frontage. That's why we're saying they've got 500 docks over there, rather than and not that much a significant difference of seawall. And yet these people here, and you got a single resident over there that may have 100 foot of seawall that only has one dock, and you might have a couple 100 feet over there that's got hundreds of docks, but yet they're going to pay the same amount per capita. Okay, and we're saying that's crap. And they've told us, yes, but everybody's benefited equally. No, they're not. We're all benefiting equally based on the increased property values by keeping this canal open. But they're not benefiting by getting commercial sales and tax revenue in their pocket from business ventures that the city of St. Pete is getting.
You think you could put a toll booth out there and get 50 cents?
So here's an interesting aspect. 3 years ago, we were told that this was a private canal, quote unquote, and that we were totally responsible for keeping this canal open. So my suggestion was then, if that is the case, we'll get it in writing. We will build a toll plaza out there, put a blockade up, and charge a passage fee, just like going out on Pinellas Bayway. And all of a sudden, that definition of it became from a private canal to, yes, the water's now owned by the state of Florida, and you guys can't do that. So, it was a little bit of tongue-in-cheek and being facetious, but I think they got the point.
So they want to have it both ways. You can't charge tolls for people to come in here.
If you're going to have a canal and not allow us to charge a fee to come up and down my canal or our canal, but then have it the other way where you're going to collect all the money that we collect to pay for your outside funding. There was just in this last meeting we had one of the county administrator said that the fuel tax, and here's a perfect example, fuel tax collected off of that money is we can't reinvest it back in here because it's already earmarked and allocated for outside funding outside in the other parts of Pinellas County. Well, no, that's not correct. So where's the money, and this is what we keep saying to Mayor Rick Price, where's the money that you're collecting from all of those different types of sales revenues going at, and why is it not being reinvested back into the same exact canal that will keep you not only it open for now, but for the year after year after year that's going to continue to require maintenance to keep it open. So that's what we're looking at.
And, obviously, you're not just advocating that people who have no interest in this open the canal just for the property owners. This is something that
well, you look at it this way. If this canal closes, the total tax-based revenue that occurs on this canal is into hundreds of millions of dollars because of property tax values that are collected. You've got all the sales tax revenue. If this canal closes, we've already seen portions of this island that have had to have their homes devalued through the property appraiser's office because they could not longer use their boat slips. So if this canal shuts down, you have hundreds of jobs back behind us that are going to be affected. You have hundreds of millions of dollars that have been collected over the last 10 years that's going to be dried up. And everybody's home that's along this canal is also going to be devalued. So all of that money that is being collected off of all of the backs of all these people is going to be gone. And so all of these funded projects outside of Pinellas, outside of the Tiera Verde residential island, is going to dry up as well. Nobody wants that. They just want to pay what they're getting, what their fair share is. They don't want to be clubbed like a baby seal and take every dime I got and then keep it open and then go pay off other people and other interests outside of this island. Reinvest that money back here to keep it open. That's where it belongs.
And what's your position with the Save the Grand Canal? Are you here with this property association?
Yes, I actually live at Yacht Haven, this condo,
Okay.
right here.
What is the problem here with what's going on?
Well, I think the issue is, and we bought here in 2015, and in 2015, and you'll see it on the video, there's a dock down at the end of the canal that was still in the water. So in 6 years, if you look at where that dock, yards from water, the sand has just been accumulating at a very, very rapid pace. And we have a boat, and our dock is on the side of our condo, and we only have 7 boats in that dock. So as Larry mentioned, I live across from a marina. So when the county was telling us that this was, yes, I do believe they want to fix the problem, but they wanted to assess the property owners because this is a private canal. I said, wait a minute, I'm looking at a big marina right across from where I live, and every boat that comes past my condo, except for 7, is part of a commercial business, whether it's the marina, the Island Grill restaurant, or the Residence Inn Hotel.
On a typical summer Saturday, how many boats do you see come through this
Hundreds.
canal?
It's literally hundreds on a busy day. I mean, they're coming in and out. The island ferry comes 3 at a time sometimes, in and out throughout the day. People are stopping to get fuel. They may have even launched at the Fort DeSoto, the largest boat ramp, or one of the largest in Pinellas County, and they're coming down here. They're now anchoring where the beach is, which is now becoming dangerous because the sand has jutted out so far and it's narrowing so much that the boats, it's becoming almost, they're anchoring where the channel is almost. So it's getting to be, or it will become, even a more dangerous situation as the channel narrows, and it's right around the corner with boats going in and out. This is a multi-jurisdictional issue. So again, I believe that we need a fair way to fund it. And so the 2 issues that I'm most concerned with is how it will be funded. It needs to be fair and equitable, and the urgency. Because right now, the timeline that we're seeing, my concern is it will close before the dredging can happen.
You're seeing, just over time, a lot of accumulation.
Yes, and it's accumulating so much quicker now. And I forget, maybe one of the commissioners was throwing something 30,000 cubic yards per, I don't know if that was year or whatever, but the sand is accumulating so quickly. And I think it's just the formation that's now been created, that the sand, since it's coming across, is just going to continue coming across. And you can see the shoaling. The shoaling is so clear on that drone footage. That is going to become dry sand in the not too distant future.
So there's a time factor here, and you're running
urgent.
out of time.
Yes, we're running out of time, and I understand, the permitting process, but I do believe the county, they have a relationship with Florida DEP, which of course is one of the permits that will need to be gotten, and the Army Corps of Engineers. So there really just needs to be a sense of urgency. However that can be, it's got to be sooner than later. We can't wait till 2023 to dredge this canal.
What's going to happen if you wait that long?
Well, if it closes by accretion, we may have a problem. And as Larry mentioned, there's hundreds of jobs here that are in the city of St. Petersburg. And it's kind of interesting that the city of St. Petersburg seems to think that they can get all the benefit, but not have no responsibility for solving the problem.
And if this was to close, if it becomes to where you can't navigate on this channel, what happens?
Well, the water here will become quite stagnant-like. You don't want a pond behind, where we have a canal today. And anyone with a boat very high can't get through the Madonna Bridge. So you're landlocked, basically. So if the canal closes, the marina goes away. Those boats cannot, they have to go out through the South Channel.
Yeah, it's only 10-foot clearance on the bridge.
Wow. Well, what's your concern?
We live at the end of the Grand Canal, which we bought the summer 2017, and my husband and I bought at Sterling on the Gulf because of the deep water slip. We have a 33-foot pursuit boat that's still in Ocala waiting for the dredging so we can put in a big lift. We're slip 4, and there's actually 5 slips that are filling in today. And when we bought the summer of 2017, at closing, we paid $2,245 to the state under the submerged land lease agreement. And I know that when the county commissioners had said something this last month about if they're going to have a lease, they should keep up their product. So we have sand that's having filled the first 4 to 5 slips, and we're still waiting to put our lift in so we can bring our boat over to use it on the water.
So you bought a waterfront property, hadn't been able to use it because of all this sand filling in here?
Yes, sir. And we have watched it for the last 4 years come in, and we live at the end, and I took a picture from our balcony which shows a lot of boat activity, which if they come from the marina or they put in at Fort DeSoto Park or whatever, we actually have a contract with the first 4 residents of Sterling on the Gulf, but we're afraid to dredge at our cost until they get this issue resolved, and they have pushed it back twice, so we're not dredging until they get this figured out. And a lot of the sand, not all, we feel comes from beach restorations from down south all the way up to Clearwater. And if they have maintenance programs that they're doing for beach restorations, I'm all for that, but they need to do water restorations. And if you see the drone video, that the canal is closing in, and it's not just on this side where all the sand is, it's also starting to close in on the other side too. So we're concerned about urgency and getting our boat here, which is why we bought in the first place.
What's wrong with all the property owners paying all the cost of this?
Well, we don't mind paying our fair share, but we just feel that it should be equitable for everybody who enjoys the Grand Canal. And it's a public canal, not a private canal. So, we just want to keep it open, not just for the residents, but for sea life, eco life. I mean, there's a lot of other things that's going to happen if that canal closes off and becomes like a cul-de-sac at that end.
Do you feel like this is completely a Mother Nature problem?
I think Mother Nature has a part of it, just like I do from the beach restorations coming down. So I think there's variables that play a fact into the Grand Canal. But I know from other people who have history on it that there's also an agreement with the county or state to maintain the preserve of Fort DeSoto and Shell Key. So, and Shell Key is the neighboring island right beside our resident, where the sand is filling all the way in, and the whole wall people can jump across now because it's like a beach. So,
As can the predators.
What's that?
As can the predators.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had people that come enjoy our fishing off our dock, and we've called the police several times to have them removed, which most of the time the trespassers will leave. But also animal predators too. We've had coyotes, and which, I'm very much about nature, so I want to protect the environment and that. But we bought a deep water slip, and we're still waiting to dredge. Personally, all 4 owners have a contract on there to dredge, but they keep pushing the date, so we're not dredging until we know this is taken care of, to assure our marina, which is a submerged land lease, that the state got taxes on at closing over $2,000.
Good.
I've been a resident of the Grand Canal since 1986. So I'm the elder here. I've had the most experience in seeing what has evolved over this time frame.
Bill, tell me, what have you seen here during your time living along the canal?
Well, I've seen Shell Key change over those 30, 40 years from being a separate preserve, and it was named Shell Key. As we look at Shell Key today, it's no longer a key. It is in fact a peninsula. And there are several things that have happened that everybody needs to understand. For almost 50 years, since the inception of Tiera Verde, Shell Key has grown, but over that time frame, Grand Canal has always been dredge-free and maintenance-free. We've never had an issue. But there are certain events that occurred in the recent decade that has changed all that. The first was in 1998 when the South Pass within the preserve closed. And why that's important is there's a dual inlet system within the preserve itself. There was a North Pass and a South Pass, and that created a tidal stream and a strong tidal flow that kept everything in check. When that South Pass closed, it changed the dynamics. And what you started to see was sand migration now flowing north along the western shore of Shell Key. And that wound up coming around the Horn and starting to settle within the Grand Canal. Part of that migration started to cause the North Pass to close. And that's when residents along Ocean View Drive got really concerned, because they knew ecologically that tidal flow was so important. And the county did nothing. They said, it's not our problem. So, not wanting the North Pass to close, they funded their own dredging project and spent over $250,000 to do so. But unfortunately, $250,000 back then was not sufficient to dredge the North Pass sufficiently to keep it open long. And what happened is it did wind up reclosing in 2015. So now you had a preserve that had no South Pass, no North Pass. And that preserve actually started to become a swamp. And that got everybody concerned. So the county started getting concerned themselves. But the key issue here is, in 2000, the state leased Shell Key Preserve to the county and transferred all management responsibility over to the county. And they, in fact, signed the lease stating they were going to follow all the Florida statutes that pertains to maintaining a preserve. And that included keeping the tidal stream open and flowing. Somehow that management plan that was devised back in 2000 has gotten lost. I don't know where it went, but back in 2007, the department that was overseeing that management plan wound up becoming defunct. They had no money, so they closed it down and transferred the management of Shell Key over to the Parks and Recreation Department. And they totally changed the management plan to be nothing more than a custodian of who camps on where on Shell Key. Nothing about the tidal flow, nothing about the tidal stream, or the ecological problems that Shell Key was creating. And since then, the county has taken the position, we have no responsibility. But if you go back and read the lease, you'll see that they have a lot of responsibility, including paying for any assessment or easements or anything else that pertains to Shell Key. All the sand that we see floating into the Grand Canal has been acknowledged on July 5th as being from Shell Key. Grand Canal residents don't own Shell Key. We have no responsibility for Shell Key. The only person that does is the county and the state. And in the lease, it's interesting that they're responsible for any assessments that come out of that. But yet, in this non-ad valorem request, there is no assessment on the state who owns Shell Key. It's their sand, it's their problem, but they're not assessing the state. And if you look at the lease, you'll begin to understand why. Because the county is responsible for all assessments. So the county would actually be assessing themselves if they followed the lease purvey. So I know that's a long-winded.
It sounds like it sounds like that. Yeah, there are a lot of things at play here. But one interesting thing you told me, you said that in like 40 years of
that's
being
the
here,
key issue, Adam.
that you've never had to dredge this Grand Canal.
That's right.
This has only started in the last few years.
And it all pertains to Shell Key, which we as residents have no control over or no management or financial responsibility for. It's all based on the county and the state.
What do you think should happen at this point?
I think the county needs to accept their responsibility and find the funds necessary to make a permanent fix to our problem, which is reopening the North Pass. Anything else suggested is just a maintenance program. It is not a fix.
So you're talking about not only dredging this canal, but also going
Opening
back.
the North Pass, which would bring us back to the days before both passes were closed. You see, the opening of Irma Pass has created an opportunity for the county. They only have to open up one inlet to recreate what existed before 1998, which has kept everything in check. If they do not open the North Pass, I'm just estimating here, but there's probably a 90% chance somewhere down the road, Irma Pass is going to close again. And if that happens, we're reverting back to 2015, where the preserve was basically a swamp. So everybody involved has an interest in keeping that North Pass open.
What's going to happen if they wait too long to try to take action here?
The canal will close. Our Grand Canal will close. And that'll create a financial nightmare for everybody. But the interesting thing, Adam, is that there is this coastal management plan that makes money available from the state and even federal sources. But it's based on the Florida Department of Environmental Protection that ranks beaches as to whether they're critically eroding or non-critically eroding. Now, you've seen what's happened to our canal. All that sand from Shell Key has eroded into our canal. In 2012, Shell Key was classified as a non-critically eroding beach. 2021, with all this happening, the Federal Department of Environmental Protection still has not reclassified Shell Key as a critically eroding beach. Unless that is changed, there is no state or federal money that the county can go after. So why no one has looked at this as an option for funding is beyond me.
You're the president here.
I've been the president of this wonderful, beautiful island for the last 6 years. In fact, 6 years ago, I was interviewed by the media, reference to what's going on here with Grand Canal.
Was it by us, or do you remember?
It was actually Channel 13.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Uh-oh. But anyway.
I was going to see if we
Yeah.
can find the file. If you had.
I was interviewed with then Commissioner Maroney
Yeah.
and Mark Woodard, who was the county administrator, bringing this to their attention. And like Bill very much that was commenting, I've been here since '89. He's been here since '86. We both have been seeing what's going on, but actually since 2015, they started building the Colony Key area. More and more sand has been accumulating from that. We don't know from that building, but actually their beach has been getting bigger and bigger. And whether the sand is how it's getting in here, as far as we don't really care if it's coming in from beach renourishment, from the wind or the currents or whatever, it's here. And Tammy, it's unreal. And Tammy, which is the Sterling, would have to pay for their own dredging when it's actually the problem that should be rectified by the county and the city. As Larry is the vice president of the association and also the chairman of the government affairs, and he's been on top of this issue for the last year or two. We have been blessed with this now for so many years, and I'm saying from 2015 rapidly. The last 3 years, and I would think that we are getting more sand, and it's getting to a point where, and you've already interviewed these other residents, that if this would close, so many of these commercial businesses will no longer exist, and property values will go down, as Larry had indicated. We're just very concerned for our residents. We can't wait until 2023, let's say, until all the permits are granted, because by 2023 we may not have a canal anymore. It may be closed. So my issue is, let's get this rectified. Let's get the city of St. Pete involved. Let's get the monies that are needed so everybody can pay their fair share. This is not a private canal. We've been trying to bring this issue up. Every time the county, everybody refers to this canal as a private canal. It used to be called Dense Channel. before that marina was built, before the 679, that the road that, this was a channel. At that time, it was cleared by the engineers, the Army Corps of Engineers. No longer they consider that because it's now, since it's been closed and we have, blockage, it's now just a private canal. So according to the county. We don't think that. We are still under the impression it's a quasi-private, more commercial than private. 90% of the boats that come through here are from other areas, Sarasota, Bradenton, Tampa, wherever. They come here to use our fuel docks, to use the marina, to use the restaurant. We have the Residence Inn. All of this is all taxable money going to the city of St. Pete and the county.
Just a real quick example, that boat that came in, he's got B-roll
Yeah.
in, came in here, all it did was got fuel, turn around and it's heading back out.
Yeah.
So basically, all we're saying is, look, we know there was an Apton study, as far as the three options that Larry had mentioned. The option is great. We just needed to get the sand out. But who's going to pay for it? The bottom line. And we can't, and if 60% of the people voted down, then the county said, well, we can't, our fingers are, that's it. We toss everything into the air and let the residents worry about it. We can't have it. So basically, all I'm saying is, let's get the city, the county involved. Let's get the monies allocated, and let's do it post-haste. Let's not wait to the end of 2022 or 2023. It needs to be done now. That's what I have to say. So,
Gotcha. Okay. Your feelings about what's going on here?
Well, Bill stole a lot of my thunder, but I agree with everything he said about the actual reason this occurred. I've been boating down here since 1986. I remember going through the old Southwest Pass. I remember going through the non-existent now North Pass on Shell Key. That was a very deep, fast-running current until it filled in 15. All these boats that go up and down here, as people have said, are the 480 some boats from that boat, or that marina, I should say, is much quadruple, quintuple traffic that wasn't here until that marina opened about 4 years ago. The real problems we have is obviously permitting, getting that done. We have to do it. Dredging has to be done, and then the final question is, who pays? Is it going to be a equitable number of people who actually live in this canal, as well as the commercial entities here? And they're obviously commercial. I mean, all those boats in there are paying to keep their boats in the slips and the racks and in the barn. Then, besides that, we've got the state submerged land lease, which should be considered. We pay money every month to the state. Where does that go? We need dredging. So we'll see what happens, but everybody else kind of covered everything else I was going to say.
Why is this? Has this turned into just a bunch of finger pointing between the different governmental agencies here?
Well, nobody wants to pay if they don't have to. That's pretty obvious. But I think the TVCA people have agreed we're willing to pay our fair share. But that marina has probably at least twice the number of boats that everybody else combined here has. Why should we pay by the linear footage when their linear footage is maybe 300, 400 feet of seawall and then multiple finger docks, which multiply that over and over and over again? It's not just the seawall with them. I live 50 yards from their last slip right there, and they're all filled up with boats too.
What's it like here on a given summer Saturday when the traffic's kind of hot?
Packed. And then the really good part becomes when a thunderstorm comes through, and all the people who don't have topside radar on their boat, but they have it on their phone, don't watch to the east. We get the thunderstorms coming through, and we get people coming up this canal, numerous boats at full plane, and in no wake zone, trying to get back into that marina. And you know what those wakes do? They wear out seawalls.
Yeah, absolutely.